Hey everyone, welcome to our latest edition of MSP Business School. I'm Brian Doyle, and with me today are my co-hosts in crime, Rob Rogers and Tim McNeil.
The
One
man,
of
the
these times
myth.
you guys should throw
Yeah,
some masks on or something, we should play this up a little bit. But
You wouldn't recognize me. It would be like, who's that guy?
Yeah,
all of a sudden Rob would look a little tougher,
it's a struggle for him.
But today we got a fun episode. We're going to do one of our roundtables today, and we're really going to talk about building your battle card, right? And I love all those kind of references. Like we're going to go out there and start beating people over the head with sticks, right?
That's right.
But we really want to talk about how to arm your sales team with a battle card, how to get them ready to really kind of fight as they're because really a cold call is a fight, right? We're trying to fight our way into the business, and how they can lean on this battle card to bring them in. So maybe we can kick things off with kind of just an overview, guys, of what is a battle card, and what traditionally would you want to put into a battle card to really arm your team with this sales weapon, if you will. All of a sudden I just had a little flashback to Wolf of Wall Street. This script will be your harpoon.
Right. Like for me, the battle card is how I always used to get through my calls, kind of like Cliff Notes, where how I got through high school and college. The battle card is how I get through any of the presentations that I did, because it always gave me my quick reference guide that I could just look down at real quick, see where they were coming from on their objection side, and then know where I could go to really quick. It's a crutch, but it's also gets you back on track if you get a little bit lost. So that's the way that I've always used battle cards, and the way that I choose to have my reps. We build it up for everybody, and that's how we do it. Timmy, like, you were really good at it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I even going back to when Rob and I were still in the MSP world, I always had I was there for 4.5 years at that MSP. I still had the battle card on my desk every day until basically my last day. I just did, and it was the original thing that I started with once Rob came on and we started building all this stuff out. It's not that you rely on it a lot, but it's always nice, especially for the salespeople out there. I mean, you know how it is. You're making cold calls all day, every day, or you're doing your prospecting in some way, shape, or form, and you just don't talk to that many people. It's nice to have a reference guide to be able to glance down.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how well you know it. It's nice to have a reference guide to glance down when you do finally get that person to answer on the other side of the line after you just made 25 calls and got ghosted 24 times. So it's a really nice way to keep your head in the game while you're talking to that decision maker.
And you just hit on a really good point there. It is tough sometimes when you actually get somebody on the other side of the line, right? You've been in that road of, especially these days where it's much harder to make that live connection. You get that person on the line and you almost were not expecting it. And if you don't have something that can snap you back into the game, it could be difficult. So, what do you guys think should go into a battle card? Like, what are some of the things that you feel, really make up a good battle card and make sure that the sales rep's really going to be ready to go on their calls?
Yeah, I'll lead it off here. So, just to let everybody know, we will include a link to the battle card that we use. So at the end of the episode, we will have the link of a template that you can use yourself. But what we usually include in it is your 1-sentence statement of what your company does. If you can't explain to anybody at a cocktail party or at a networking event, 1 sentence that explains what your company does that is compelling, then you need to work on that. So you need to have a 1-sentence statement. You need to have your overall value statement, which is a few sentences long. It's a more detailed explanation of just what you do. You need to have your elevator pitch on there. You need to have the 3 major pillars of what your company does for people, the features that support it, and the benefits that are the emotional tie-in for those things. And just having that in a 1-page 8x11 will be able to get any rep out there ready to go from day one to be able to do anything that they need to do. Because to expand on Timmy's point a little bit further, You make 24 calls, and on the 25th call, you talk to somebody, but you only talk about one of the pillars that you really do in the company because that's what they're talking about. Then you have to make another 24 calls to get to another person, and then you speak to another 24 calls to get to another person. And by the time you're 150 calls in, you may talk about one of the pillars that you haven't talked about, or one of the key things that your company does that you haven't talked about in 2 days. So having that thing just be able to pull up super quick, have your pillar, your feature, your benefits, and why it matters is very impactful and quick for a rep to get back into the game real quick.
Yeah, and once you do start using these, and once you start getting used to them, we've actually seen a lot of success in making battle cards for, we're starting to see more and more MSPs become specialized in specific industries.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to have a generalized scorecard. Wow. Battle card. We'll go with battle card.
Sure.
So it's really good to have a generalized battle card. But then if you specialize in any industries, create a second one or a third one.
Yeah.
For those industries that you're in. Specifically, we've done it for nonprofits, manufacturing,
yep.
Legal. I mean, we've done this for a number of different people, and the value proposition stays the same. A lot of it stays the same. The biggest change is why, what that means to the prospect. Why are you calling them, and why does it matter that you're calling them? Well, it matters because you have 10 clients in that industry, and here's some examples of how we've helped those companies, and you would be crazy not to talk to us.
Very impactful.
So.
Yeah, and I like that concept of, it doesn't have to be one battle card fits all, because I do see when you start getting into vertical specialization, one of the keys there is you do need to talk a little bit of their talk as well. And that seems like something you can very simply do right within your elevator pitch, just mixing that up a little bit. And then, when your brand pillar is kind of making some changes there.
Yeah.
But, I have the benefit of seeing this slide now. So maybe let's go back a step and let's kind of break down what's going on in each one of these sections, right? So let's start with the one sentence hook. So, we talk about the hook, or, the hook's out there all the time, right? You're listening to a song, you get the hook, and that's really going to make you decide whether or not you want to stay with it, right? It's pretty much the same with a cold call, or same with a client approach here. So which of you guys wants to kind of take the concept of the one sentence hook and kind of bring us into what that's about?
Sure. You want me to go? Yeah, I'll jump in first. So
just started signing you guys.
Yeah.
Him would be the teacher's pet.
Yeah.
He would. Bringing an apple to class, and God, here we go.
No. Dude, I never showed up to class. There's no time for class.
All right, one sentence hook.
One sentence hook. Here's how to build a bad one sentence hook. And I'm going to talk about it in maturity levels, right? If you're just starting out as a business, as an IT business, and you're still working from your car, your one sentence hook that you think that you're talking to people about is, I fix computers, right? And that's your one sentence. I fix computers for people. And that's a very immature one sentence hook. But we all know that's conceptually what we do. But as you get better and better, and you get more mature and more, more understanding of what you do in a business, you say, we manage technology in this local area to help businesses achieve their growth goals. That opens up a lot of things that you can talk about right there. And it doesn't just talk about fixing a computer. If you just fix a computer, you're doing it for a cheaper price than the person next to you. So if you manage technology to help your local businesses achieve their growth goals, that's an example, right? That's just one that I use out there. But that is a very powerful, impactful one sentence hook that's compelling for people. Ooh, well, I want to hit my growth goals. How can you help me hit my growth goals? It's a good way to get people into a conversation, Brian.
Let's face it, that first sentence is almost do or die on a cold call, right? If you just came in there with the, I fix computers, or, hey, we're a technology solution provider, you might get the quick hook, right? The old, I already got one of those. Thanks for playing.
Yeah.
So, so, you've got to have something to at least drive that next sentence, right?
Well, and look, you have 6 seconds to get somebody's attention, right? So you've got to hook them very quick. It's just the reality. People just, they inherently in their head, when they hear a call and they get a cold call, they give people 6 seconds. And if you can't catch them in those 6 seconds, that call's over. Whether it lasts 30 seconds or 60 seconds, if you don't catch them in that first 6 seconds, it's done. So having that value proposition right out of the gate, I mean, look, we've seen more and more there again, we've seen more and more MSPs really take a business-minded approach to their, when they're talking with a prospect, really focusing on taking helping their clients take a business-minded approach while using their technology stack, right? And that means different things for different people.
Yeah.
So really, when you look at that one sentence hook, it's just a power statement that summarizes kind of what your value statement is, which is really how you're almost kind of, illustrating your services overall, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
if you kind of look at that value statement
sentence
that you put together for your company, which you can include in this battle card just to help reinforce it, it's really a power statement that becomes the hook. And now you're into the elevator pitch, right?
If you're in a networking event, you don't go through your 5-sentence value proposition to a person that says, hey, what do you guys do? Right? You got to give an impactful 1-sentence explanation of what you do to open up the conversation. And so that's what it's meant for. Whether you're at a cocktail party, a networking event, whatever you're at, you've got to be able to explain in an impactful way what you do in 1 sentence. And that's the crux of everything that follows.
Yeah. Yeah, and the goal there is to open up the conversation and have the person that you're talking with say, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you asked.
All right.
You just go from there.
So now let's go in. You got me on the phone, man. I am digging it. I didn't say no. Pitch me. Because now the elevator pitch is the next part of the battle card, is it not?
Yeah, the elevator pitch. And, the elevator pitch can be anything. So if it's an expanded conversation of your 1-sentence hook, and it's meant to be, I always build it in a structured way so people can plug and play however they want to do it, whether they're doing an elevator pitch for their services or just for cybersecurity or whatever they're going to do. They can use this kind of structure. And, again, like we're talking about it as we see it here, Brian, but people will be able to see it when they download the link. And we build it in a structured format that just follows the common issue, which gives a solution, followed by the 3 features, the secret sauce that you have, and then the benefits and what those benefits mean to other people. And so that 30-second elevator pitch is a more expanded conversation on that 1-sentence hook. So if you remember BNI, Brian, I'm sure you've been to BNIs where you have to stand up there and do your 30 seconds. This is where that would come in, where you give your 30-second services.
So I'll take a stab at this, right? Being that I can see the framework, right? Back when I was an MSP, I would have said something along the lines of, hey, when we first started in IT, that we found that a common issue was that our partners did not have IT expertise. People needed a solution both to fill the operational side and the leadership side. So for 26 years, we've been specializing in that. We provide those functions, but more so we do it with a team that really gets to know you and understand your business at a much greater detail.
Brian.
The 3 pillars that we utilize to bring this to you is we help you with your cybersecurity. We bring you leadership and become part of your executive team. And of course, we're supplying the help desk services to keep your end users happy. Am I on par? Was that
you're on? Hey, Brian, do you need a job?
Yeah.
I got plenty. Give me one more hat to throw in my head, right?
We've got plenty of clients who would love to have
now
you
to
as a
be fair, guys,
salesperson.
I got a little bit of their script next to me. I just had to fill in the parentheses that you'll see that are in there. But the point is, think about it as an MSP. I come from the Sandler School of teaching, right? And it was always, kind of our pitch that we were taught there, which is very similar to what we just said here is, hey, I'm Brian Doyle and I'm with XYZ MSP. The way, what we are is a technology solution provider that works with small to mid-sized businesses in the community. The way we help our customers is either helping them back up their data and make sure that it's protected safely. We help safeguard your environment and keep you and reduce the risk of ransomware. And we make sure that you're getting the best cost possible for the products and services that you're utilizing. Do any of those things resonate with you? And if the answer was no, we would always have a fourth one in our back pocket to go into. So very similar concept. How you shake it up is really up to you. But it's really helping the customer understand in 30 seconds, what is it you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can determine whether or not that's something I need.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like a permission, one of those permission-based presentations. It's a very good, Sandler is a very good system, right? But oof, to the person that does Sandler poorly, oof, you got to make sure you're good at that, or it just comes across poorly.
Yeah, this was by no means a pitch for Sandler. Sandler is definitely specific to
it's a style.
Yeah,
there's a style. There's
my
many
MSP
styles.
was acquired by an
Nothing wrong with this.
engineering firm, and engineers who were both basically doer sellers are not extroverts by nature. So they were in Sandler and they were gobbling this up. Of course, I'm sitting there as the big fat loud sales guy, and I'm like, or you just walk up to him and start a conversation.
Yeah, or you just walk up and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's your sign?"
But Sandler's a great method.
Conversation.
Honestly, that approach works for a lot of the technology-based founders that we have that were not in selling positions before. So, they can kind of understand how to engage. But we'll talk about Sandler a different day because we're running short on time at this stage. So let's kind of get into that concept that I kind of touched upon of brand pillars. Tim, maybe you can go into a little bit about, what the brand pillar means and what are we backing up as data to help our sales rep on the call if it gets into a deeper dive conversation on any of the pillars we have.
Well, so the pillars really come into play. It's something that as an MSP, you truly need to understand what you bring to the table versus your competitors, right? You can't go in saying, hey, we've got great communication, great response time, great customer service, because that's what a lot of people say. So even though a lot of issues do come back to those three things, you've got to expand on that. So for instance, when Rob and I were still in the industry, one of the things, oddly enough, one of the things that did make us different at that time was response time. We had 1 hour response time, which, even though we don't recommend people go down that road as much now, back then it was relevant because that was
1 hour on site.
Yeah, 1 hour on site. Back then it was relevant because we knew that all of our competitors in the Hartford area, they were at best, they were 4 hour response time on site. So we knew that we could beat them. We just knew it. We also, again, different time. Everybody, or a lot of MSPs are an all-in price now. One of our differences was we billed to the minute. So you had no wasted time and all unused time rolled over. So it's just about what you want to do when you're figuring out your three pillars is understand where your competition fits within your target market or within your radius, and understand what makes you different compared to them so that you can go in and truly just be able to crush everybody when it comes to these talk tracks, right? That's a very important aspect of all of this, while at the same time bringing in your understanding what your core values are and how those things fit into your core values, if that all makes sense.
It does. And I look at the brand pillars the way that they're set up on the generic or the battle card you guys supplied. It's also that second level of conversation starter too, right? I've made it through the pitch, customer showed interest, and now I got to get into what do we do? And then the final part of the battle card, what are the key benefits that we can bring to the table that's possibly going to get me to the meeting? Because that's really all we're trying to get at this point, if I understand it right, guys, is we're using the battle card to get the meeting.
That's all you're trying to do. And at the end of the day, what is the emotional tie-in that you're trying to use to get that person to care, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody that you're speaking to has an alligator brain when it comes to the conversation. It's a fight or flight response. It's an emotional decision. And so you can talk statistics, you can talk facts and all those kind of things, but how it makes them feel is going to determine whether they stay or whether they go. And it's as simple as that. right? Nobody buys a Corvette because it goes from 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds. They buy it because when they're driving it down the street, all the guys want to be him and all the girls want to date him. That's why they buy the car. So in like making sure people understand that is why the key benefits are so important to have on this card and have them attached to the 3 pillars. It's the core of the entire battle card for me. Anyway, you like my Corvette thing?
I was just thinking to myself, I could tell that I'm getting old because I could care less about who's seeing me or who's looking at me. I just want to go fast.
I've never had a Corvette. I wouldn't know, but I've heard.
You've seen people that have them.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But that's it, Brian.
Yeah.
I mean, like just being able to come in really quickly. So a pillar, to kind of come back real quick, a pillar is the global way that you solve problems if a prospect comes up with an objection. If they talk about how they're being hacked all the time, one of your global pillars is cybersecurity. And you can go into all your features and supporting benefits that talk about that. And your rep can immediately go and see the battle card and handle it just like that. If it's, whatever it is, right?
I look at the battle card and say, okay, if I understand what these benefits are that are in, the supporting product features that are in my pillars, if I look at that, I've also got my, my probing questions, right? Hey, have you ever been hacked, or has any of your employees been, socially engineered in the past?
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever experienced downtime or had an incident where you couldn't recover data? Hey, do you feel sometimes that you're just buying things on blind faith from your existing provider, and you really don't know if what you're doing is going to push the needle for your organization? Those are things that are questions that if I'm the rep, I can look at my, my brand pillars and my supporting features and be able to come up with these probing questions so I can keep that conversation going. Because one of the challenges I see, especially with young reps, is great, they've made it through phase 1 and phase 2, right? They got the hook, they got the elevator pitch, and now what?
Now what?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not the smartest guy.
I usually get hung up now.
Let me get an engineer on the call. You know what I mean? Like you got to have some probing questions where you can take some notes. And of course, it's part of the responsibility of the MSP to workshop a little bit of this too, so they're ready for it, right?
Yeah. And, talk to your peer group about this. This is something you can build your peer group coach, whomever,
Yeah.
Beautiful. So guys, anything else you'd like to add to the battle card other than, we will put a link of this both on the podcast and on the YouTube links as well, so you can download a copy and see kind of what it's all about. But anything else you'd like to add about the concept of the battle card before we close today?
For me, on my side, not really. This is the hub. The battle card is the hub for the rest of your marketing efforts out there. This is where it all starts. Everything else is built from here.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is kind of going along to what you started saying a minute ago, Brian. Once you do get through your battle card and you're talking with somebody, whether it's a networking event or on the phone or what have you, have a couple questions in your head that you're looking for to qualify that person. Those questions generally should go back to how large is that company, and work them in the conversation in a natural way. How large is the company? Are they in your radius? Ideally, do they find out if they work with an MSP? These are all things. This is just part of seeing if that person is going to be a good fit for you or not.
Get the contract end date.
Get the contract.
All right. So fellas, I think we're coming up to the sunset of this episode. I want to thank you both for this exciting episode. And if you guys need a battle card for this episode or any episodes in the future, we can create one for this here as well. So, we can have some talking points maybe. But just remember, we will have this episode up on mspbusinessschool.com or on YouTube as well. And we will have the link for a generic battle card, so you can take this and use it with yourself, your team, or your peer group as well. We wish everybody the best. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Thanks.